Welcome back to T3's The Week in Tech. I am Emily.
And I'm Sam.
And we're here to bring you the latest in tech.
And I'm going to be very much a passenger this week because I have been away and I honestly have got no idea what's going on. So I've had a very quick blitz through the news. But tell me, what's happening in the world?
What is happening in the world? Well, we've seen a couple of leaks. They're not admittedly very exciting leaks. Somebody's seen what we presume is a dummy iPhone 17 Air.
Okay.
So that's fine.
Is it?
It's
Hang
in
on.
a video.
Is it thin?
Oh, yeah.
Does it
thin.
have one camera?
Yeah, it does.
Is it any different to any of the other leaks we've seen?
No.
Good. That's the news. Right.
Yeah. I'll show you it right now. It's a very pixelated image.
Right.
It does have that.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, God.
It's thin. It's skinny. It has that one bar design, like the Google Pixel, which is, I think, where they air. I don't know why they've got. I assume there must be some technical reason why they've gone for that, right?
I mean, presumably it makes it easier for fitting componentry in, right?
Okay.
The trouble is, and I'll choose my words very carefully here, it's I personally think it's an awful design. I really, really am not a fan of the way that looks. And I've said the same thing about when Google does it with the bar. I've said before in numerous videos, the Pixel 7, Pixel 8, where it had that nice sloping bar, I think that was lovely. And it really took that concept and made it sleek. And it was a lovely thing to see. I don't think that this is very not sleek and very not fun to look at. I can't help but think as well that the iPhones with a single rear camera look a little bit like Mike Wazowski.
Yes, you said that about the Pixels as well, and no.
The single camera. I think I said it about the 17, 16E.
Yes,
the iPhone E.
Yeah.
If they ever come out with like a lime green one, it's just going to look so much like Mike Wazowski.
And that's why they will never come out with a lime green
Well,
one.
exactly. But
it's not great. Especially if, we talked about this last week, right? I was asking the question about, the Samsung Edge, what we're sacrificing for thinness. And are they going to price this super high and then you're still only getting one camera? Because that would be lame. Like, I don't think this just looks like an SE.
From the rumors or certainly the last time I was at my desk, the rumors that we were hearing about it was that it was going to replace the Plus. So it's going to be, what, 899-ish?
Right.
It takes me back to the question I've always had with this. Who asked for a slim phone? I don't think anyone... I've not met a single person who's gone, that's a great idea. I'll take less battery life and a worse camera performance to have it be 2mm thinner.
Yeah, the trade-off just isn't worth it. I don't think for many people. It's very
and I'm sure
niche.
I'm sure it will, right? I'm sure in 5 years' time, when we get silicon carbide battery technology and things like that, it'll be amazing. Yeah. It'll be as good as the phones we've got today. The thing is, the phones we have today are as good as the phones we have today, and they're here.
Nail on the head.
I just... for the sake of a couple of millimeters in your pocket, I don't personally see that that's worth the trade-off. And I think I'm in the majority.
I think you are too. I don't know. I guess time will tell.
Well, it's interesting, just to skip ever so slightly, because Mike has also reviewed the S25 Edge at this point. And what's really interesting, I was going to bring this up later in, but we've started, so we'll finish.
Yeah.
He basically rounds out his review by saying, it's a knockout product. It's thinner than lighter than anything you've likely ever seen. Well built, every bit the flagship, yada, yada, yada. But limited battery life, power level that arguably hinders its form. I don't quite know what he means by that, but I'll have to do a bit more of a deep read. Sorry, Mike, I haven't read it all. And a camera that, with the lack of zoom, doesn't really come close to competitors. And I think he's kind of hit exactly what I expected the nail on the head to be, which is you're giving up so much in the pursuit of something slim.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels weird to me. It does
No,
feel weird to me.
fully.
But it's really cool to see. I'm never going to knock the innovation. I just,
Yeah.
I
Should it have become a public thing? I don't know.
The other thing I will say, by a hair, the Samsung design is nicer than the.
Yes.
I don't know what it is because obviously they've used a camera cutout as well, like a bar, but seeing it vertical as opposed to horizontal is more agreeable to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know
And
why.
It has two. I mean, albeit one is 200 megapixels and the other one is 12 or whatever.
Oh yeah. I'm not going back into that. That
Yes.
still irks me. But
but they do have two cameras. And I hate to say, like, just add the camera for the aesthetic, but I kind of want you to add the camera for the aesthetic.
and I suppose, I guess the other thing we've got to say with these is it's obviously a first gen thing, right? So as a first stab at the form, it's not awful.
Yeah.
I think it could be refined. I think it could be nicer. And I
think it should have stayed in the box.
If I have one thing that I hope comes from tech in the next couple of years, get rid of these evil camera bars. Just make them sleek and lovely again. Go back to the days when you all were designing lovely things. It's my single biggest pet peeve in the current tech market.
It'll bounce back around. It's always like a boomerang.
Yeah, it will.
Moving on to a similar thing. I told you we've seen a couple of leaks. The Google Pixel 10 has leaked. Google did it by not being secretive enough about filming their commercial. And we've got clips of showing Sam the images right now. And yes, you're seeing what I'm seeing. It's an actor with a phone that it looks like he's not even allowed to hold the phone, which is interesting.
Yeah, it does seem to be just floating, doesn't it?
Yes. But then next what we've got is a storyboard, which shows supposedly the phone. But what people are thinking now basically is it looked like the advert was very much focused on cameras and photography. And I am so bored of people talking about their darn camera phones. Sorry, not you, companies.
No, I wasn't thinking it. Well, I wasn't thinking it was a slight on me till you said that, but
I am so sick of companies being like, our phone, like, take better photos with this phone. Like, stop it. Shut up. Find something new.
I completely agree with you. And it's a weird thing to say. I love.
It's an unfair thing to say, I think.
Well, the trouble is that I just don't think companies have all that much else they can work on right now. There's obviously AI is massive, but AI also is unpredictable. It's not very. A lot of people still have a lot of misconceptions about it, and indeed some very real conceptions about it. So there's a lot of people who that just doesn't appeal to. Cameras is the one thing where you go, hey, remember 20 years ago when you had to have a Polaroid and if you wanted to call someone, you had to make sure you were in at a certain time so they'd get you on a landline? Well, you can do both of those things in here now. And it's like, that is still a relatively novel concept, particularly as they're getting better. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. It feels like a lot of phones these days are actually just cameras that you can make a call on.
Yes. And I know it's difficult to, the marketing team gets this phone and they're like, what's good about it? And they're like, the camera. And the marketing team is also probably like, okay, how do we once more romanticize the idea of having a camera on your phone? How do we make that,
Well, yeah. And
seem attractive?
Also, I suppose a lot of the development and stuff that goes into it, yeah, I'm thinking of like Oppo have the best camera phone I've ever used.
People have said. Is that the Find...
This is the X8 Pro.
8 Pro, yes.
But it's designed, you can so tell it's designed by a photographer. It's really, really well designed. What I will say, just before we leave the Pixel 10 after that very random tangent.
Yeah, sorry.
Does it look thin to you?
It looks...
That image there, that looks really slim. It doesn't in that one. Well, it does a little bit in that one, actually.
Let me see.
I just wonder if these renders, it looks quite svelte. It looks,
Towards the top, it looks a little slender.
yeah.
Towards the bottom, I think it might just be lighting, unfortunately. I don't think they're surprise launching a... So the next thing I wanted to talk about is, apparently, this just came out. Apple, I'm just going to read this summary for you. Apple is set to rip up the copybook when it comes to the names of its new OS updates. Industry sources claim the next iOS will be called iOS 26. Apple's other operating systems will follow suit, it is said. So we wouldn't have 19, we'd have 26, which, fine. Let's update to the year. This is much like Samsung's phones, where we suddenly saw a jump from, what, the 9 to the
wasn't
20?
It 10 to 20? We had the
Something
S10
like
and then
that.
the S20.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it suddenly lines up. Fine.
But do it with the phone, not with the... No one cares about the iOS, man. Like, all right, sorry. We care about the iOS, but the average Joe doesn't care.
Maybe that's why they've changed it.
But just it would make more sense if they were doing it with the phone as well. And I have a suspicion, obviously 2027, 20 years of the iPhone. We've heard rumors about loads and loads of big things happening. All sorts of different things have been suggested. Yeah. I wonder if in 2027 we might get the iPhone 27. But I also...
That gives me the ick.
Yes. I was about to say the same thing. It feels so very wrong.
Maybe it's a matter of us just being, like, the connotation of so much time passing. I know we haven't had 27 iPhones, but that very much sounds like we've had 27 iPhones, and that makes me sad.
Well, there's also the other point, the other part of this. I can't remember where this rumor originated from. I don't believe it was written about, just something that I've discussed. Okay. But there is a rumor circulating that Apple in 2027 is going to effectively start over from scratch. So all product lines will sort of be wound down, and it will start again with iPhone, Mac, iPad, Apple Watch from scratch, marking the 20 years of the iPhone by basically starting over again. Now, I don't know if that's true. As I'm saying it out loud, it sounds unlikely. But to play devil's advocate, it would give them a very welcome opportunity to go, look, there's a lot of things that are wrong with the current lineup. We've discussed that in many, a lot of the way that the iPhone's range exists is a little futile for most people. Most people we know either get the base model or the more expensive one, and the ones in the middle kind of labour. Same can be kind of said for iPads, I think. I think there's a lot of crossover and contention, and it's part of the design. We know Apple likes the ladder, that it's only a little bit more expensive to get there and a little bit more to get there, and so on and so forth. It's a very well-publicised strategy. Yes. However, I think the opportunity to turn around and release 4 product ranges and go, this is what we are from here on out. Now, that's not the story itself. What I was going to say on the back of that is maybe they'll use that opportunity to also rejig the naming structures, because it wouldn't surprise me if in Apple 2.0 land, if that were to happen, they went, right, we're starting again from scratch. This is the iPhone. This is the Apple Watch. This is the iPad. And then you start again from there, which would be confusing, but I don't think anyone's still using... Yeah. But then again, does it... Do you know what I mean? Do you think the average person knows what iPhone they have?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think so. I do think that. I will say, I think we'll have conversations where if that happens, people will say it's, how do you distinguish? If you say, oh, what iPhone have you got? And you just have to say the new one. What? Oh,
you're
the
right.
New one?
Yeah, you're right.
The iPhone. And then you'll be like, no. What do you mean? Like the 13, the 14, the 15. Be like, no, just the
iPhone.
I think they'll call it that. Somebody will figure out a name for it anyways if they go that direction. And it just won't be under their control. So I think it's got to have a
Yeah.
naming convention.
Do you know what though? It makes me think
like
of.
it,
Do you remember what we were saying a few weeks ago about the Fuji X100 cameras, where the design it's designed so that it always looks the same from the front, so that you can't tell which generation you have. I wonder if it's that. I wonder if there's some thinking on that side, where they're almost going, you just want it to say, I have an iPhone. Doesn't matter the ilk, as long as you have an iPhone, which kind of fits Apple's.
Yeah, they'll just start going by the years though, because you literally have to have some way to distinguish it. Like, what if you go to, in the US, go to the Verizon store and you say like, sorry, I know I hate that. You go to the Verizon store and you say, I want an upgrade. They're like, what phone do you have? And you're like, the iPhone. They're like, well, which one? And then you're stuck.
Do you know what? It'll end up being iPhone and then bracket year.
Yeah.
And it'll just be like an unofficial convention. But in any case, there's also a very good chance that absolutely none of this happens. So let's not waste any more time on it.
Yeah.
I do
have to
think,
let that marinate a little bit longer because I don't know how I feel. I feel at once excited and horrified.
Yes. I do, however, think that it's a bit weird to do it to the operating system without doing it to the phone as well. I think it's almost... It's that situation where you go, they were so close to the point. Do you know what I mean? They're this close to having the right idea.
Also, the idea that they would change it to Mac OS 26. Don't do that. I love the current naming convention. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused by it. I won't get you wrong. I do have to look it up every single time. But I love the like honoring the California landmarks.
I assume they'd still fantastic. Do that. Can I bring a story?
You may bring a story.
This is a little bit old actually at this point, but it's still worth talking about. Xiaomi.
What about them?
They have just unveiled, I say just, a week ago, they unveiled their first ever in-house chipset.
Hey, good for them.
And I think it's a really big move because obviously, so I haven't seen exactly the most recent figures, but as far as I remember, Xiaomi's like the third biggest, right? You have Apple, Samsung, Xiaomi.
Maybe so.
I believe. Certainly the last time I looked at any kind of data on the matter, that was the case. In any case, they're really quite a large phone brand. They make a lot of good things. Their devices are killer.
Yeah.
I think it's really exciting to see them go down this route. It sounds like quite a good chip as well.
Yeah.
So it's a 3nm processor, effectively the same as everything else big on the market right now. 10-core CPU, 16-core GPU, and a 6-core NPU for some AI-powered goodness. They've also added in a smartwatch variant as well. So they've got their own smartwatch processor and their own phone processor. Now the phone, or I guess I should say mobile processor, will be going into a phone and into a tablet right off the bat. There's a smartwatch, I believe, coming out with the smartwatch one, although that sounds a little more behind the times. Uses a 4G baseband, which I don't really understand why in this day and age they would do that, but maybe there's a reason. Who knows? In any case, I'm excited to see how they perform.
Do you think this was done to, well, obviously it was done to lower their cost. Do you think this will result in lower costs for the consumer?
No.
It doesn't.
Almost, I would be so surprised if it did, because it lowers their cost in the long run.
Yeah, that's.
But the setup costs, I think, I'd be surprised. I don't think there's many brands who are like, hey, we've started developing our own chips, so we're going to give you the phone for 100 quid off. In all fairness, I don't think the Xiaomi stuff is particularly badly priced anyway.
Yeah.
So what I think it gives you more control over is how things integrate. We saw it with, I mean, I always go back to the Apple M1 chip, but purely because it was that bigger landmark, right? Where all of a sudden they had the inner workings of the chip mapped out exactly how they wanted for efficiency. And you could take a MacBook Air and it would run for like 20 hours. It was preposterous. So I think it's that level of like self-integration, and I think that will bring something good.
Qualcomm in itself.
Well, this is what I was going to say to you, right? Qualcomm are a fantastic brand and they do
Yes.
some really cool stuff. But Jesus, they must be looking at this going,
Yeah, I know.
what do you do at that point? Like, I suppose they've got other things, right? They're looking at cars and they're doing stuff in XR and things like this. But it's a really interesting moment for them. And I'm intrigued to see how the brand operates in the future, because that's a heck of a lot of processors you're no longer making. You know, there's what, 30 odd million for Samsung, is it? Something like that, I think, per generation. And then Xiaomi, as the third largest exporter, presumably is not that far off it. You're probably looking at 50 million chips a year. That's a hard thing to make up. Yeah. One thing I do think, though, it could mean that the mid-range market is about to get a boost, because if Samsung's all in on Exynos, which, again, we don't really know if they are, we'll see what happens. They obviously want to be. Whether or not it's up to speed is a different matter.
They've been a little loosey-goosey, haven't they?
And then you've got someone like Xiaomi who are going, right, let's do our own chips as well. Qualcomm in that situation is likely to go, well, okay, we've got the 8 Elite 2, let's say, in the future. We've got 50 million of these that are now not being used by who we thought they were going to be used by. So, hey, nothing. Hey, Oppo. Hey.
Do you think they've already produced them?
No, but they will want to produce a similar number, won't they, to keep things... It's just interesting. It's just interesting how that's going to turn around. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we saw brands that were more associated with the mid-range start to use a few more high-spec Qualcomm chips. And that is only ever going to be a good thing for the consumer, because brilliant. Yeah. Have you ever used a phone with an 8 Elite, by the way?
No.
Killer thing. Really? It's so snappy. So I've said this before. I'm always a fan of Qualcomm chips. They're so they're so good. But yeah, anyway, interesting stuff from Xiaomi.
I think you can probably guess where I'm going next if you have seen, well, obviously you can see on my screen that we're going back to nothing. Apparently, this is just really interesting to me because I think it opens up a lot of conversation. Nothing founder Carl Pei sees a future where the AI-powered operating system on a phone removes the need for apps. Instead of using lots of apps, the phone OS will know what you want instead and be able to provide those services. Which is interesting because people are like, oh, they're taking away apps. I don't think you're taking away apps.
Carl Pei wants the Rabbit R1. That's what you want.
That's exactly what it sounds like. But it's not removing apps. You're simply removing the little icon. So that's what he's imagining. Because it's not like somebody's not packaging up these things for your phone.
Yeah, I'm guessing so.
Because
I guess
you
right.
could still download TikTok, right? It would just be more like a mod for a game rather than akin to that.
I don't really know what the thought process is there, but all I know is that sounds horrific. I assume you're right. I assume it's more of the phone knows what you want.
Yeah, sorry. I think it's a bit of a red herring to say that the entire phone will only have one app. Yes, this is a quote, hence my little hands in the air and weird voice, but yes, I believe that in the future, the entire phone will only have one app, and that will be the OS.
Sorry, you really killed me there.
What?
Yes, that's why I've got this funny voice on and my fingers on it.
Okay.
All right. Trod on your corns.
So.
Wow. So it does sound then like he is thinking of it as...
He just wants something simpler.
Everything's built in.
But theoretically, I can do that right now. I can go on my phone, delete all of the icons off my homepage, just put in widgets. Some people do that. Also, I need to show you my new home screen because I think you'll be horrified by it. You want me to do that. But, yeah, no, I think he's just saying, you can theoretically do that right now. Just use shortcuts and say, hey, Siri, I want to get on social media, and then use it to, I don't know.
Yeah, I
write
mean,
a code
the thing is,
random...
Siri will send you to MySpace, but...
I'm not asking... I'm not asking Siri. I'd be asking Siri to perform an algorithm that I've written myself.
Sure. I understand. I don't think that's what he means, though, reading that quote. But I don't understand how he thinks we're going to get to a point where every app developer in the world is suddenly redundant.
Yeah, they
That seems,
can't be, though.
That seems far-fetched.
Yeah, how do you get things on your phone?
I think perhaps...
It's sounding very Elon Musk and X, the everything app.
I wouldn't go that far. Oh, okay.
Well,
no,
he's not,
I get your point
man.
there, actually.
I like Carl, but
I think how I would interpret that is not necessarily for third-party apps, but for first-party apps. So you go on, you got your weather app and your, I don't know what else messages. It's so long since I look at anything like this anymore.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? All your first-party apps, all the things that the phone does as standard, all your contacts and yada, yada, yada. All of those will disappear.
Yes.
Which, in theory, I don't mind. There's two things that worry me about this. Number one is he wants it to be powered by AI. And having used AI, it ain't going to be good enough yet. This is a long way off. And number two, it sounds a lot like a rabbit. And having used a rabbit, I can tell you that was pretty much... Oh, do I want to make myself a meme again? It was pretty much the worst thing I've ever used.
Sorry.
The Rabbit R1.
You've used it?
Yeah, I borrowed one for about an hour when I was at Computex last year.
Okay.
And it was just, I was sat there and I was like clicking a button which I thought was meant to do something, and apparently it was just taking photos. So the guy I borrowed it from was just like, I've just got like because it spins, there's a little camera on it that spins round. So it was like, it would be like a photo of my feet and then a photo of my face going like, and then one of my feet and one of my face.
That's such grandma core of you.
Honestly, it really was. I'm like, I cannot get this thing to work at all. Like, nothing I wanted it to do worked. It was one of the most infuriating technological experiences I've ever had. And I appreciate that I'm getting a little bit older, but it was not all me.
So the thing that, for me, I think I literally need that spatial representation of what I'm doing in my hand. Like, you know how... You know when you write things down, like the only thing that a tablet really can't replicate about writing and having a notebook is the feeling of flipping to a page. You know how if you open a notebook, you instinctually know where you're flipping to? Like, oh, was I further along in the page? Okay. And you have that, I think it makes it easier for you to, at least for me, I found that it makes it easier for me to comprehend and memorize what was on that page because I have that tactile. It's like the idea of the whole memory palace thing that was like popularized when like Sherlock came out and everyone freaked out and was like, oh yeah, go into your head and assign a spatial location in this imaginary place, a thing, so that you don't forget it. I think it has something to do with that. I do not want to just be speaking to something and I don't know. I think I need the actual going on my phone, using gestures to navigate to Instagram or notes or something like that. I don't want to get rid of that. I don't think it would be easier either.
It feels like an unusual thing to me. I think with the context that we have from the quote, it's hard to say what he's on about.
I think it's a bit misleading, the quote, because
we can't really say that without knowing.
He also sometimes says things.
What he's on about.
Yeah, he does sometimes say things. I mean, he's an expert in his own PR, Carl Pei, isn't he? He's the only person we ever talk about in positive terms. It's not like, Mark Zuckerberg almost. Carl Pei, everyone's like, yes. It's like that meme. Like, yeah. He's the only tech executive anyone likes, I would say.
The thing is, how do I put this?
Also, it's like Google. Sorry.
Google.
Well, I do not like Google wanting to have everything. Like Google TV, Google
Sure.
shopping. I don't want it all to. I don't like Google accounts. I do not want everything in my life linked up to a Google account. I do not want to use Google Pay. I do not want one company having everything, having a hold on me. I don't want that. I do not want one tech company to have a monopoly on my life. And I also do not want that in a phone.
So the Pixel 10's the one for you then?
I hate Pixel devices, not because I like the hardware. I do not like who owns it.
Okay.
And that's generally my issue with Android as well.
Yeah.
But
I just to completely avoid making any comment on that matter.
sorry.
I think
I'm very doomsday, no.
the thing that I find strangest about what Pay's saying is, in principle, it's a nice idea.
Yeah.
But I don't think it really is meant for phones.
No.
That idea that you can have a device where I come on at 9 o'clock every morning because I'm about to work. So it loads up Word or whatever note-taking app you happen to use and throws on the lo-fi playlist that I play every day in the background because I'm an aesthetic girly pop or whatever it may be. Surely that's better made for XR.
Also, you can do that.
Well,
you
sure,
can completely do and automate the series of things that you just listed.
The key point there, I think, is that you said you can do that. But does anyone? No.
Yeah.
By and large.
Yeah.
No one does that.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. I would say yeah. I mean, I use my focus modes to that extent. Like, work focus is different from my personal focus.
Sorry, but not just like in terms of focus modes. In terms of, I sit at 9 o'clock and I open up, let's say a laptop for the sake of ease, right? My laptop knows that at 9 o'clock I start work, so it loads up the internet with the 3 tabs I open every day, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It opens up my Spotify. It opens up this, that, and the other.
You can still do that.
You can, but I guarantee you it is less than 1% of people who do.
Probably.
I'm
Yeah.
not even, I would say,
Fair enough.
I would put my life on it being less than 1% of the global population does that. I would be certain.
We're once again getting into my love for Apple shortcuts and your hatred for this. Can I show you my screen?
I don't hate shortcuts, I will just say. I think they're cool if you used correctly. In my experience with them was atrocious because nothing actually worked as it was meant to. But in good.
Just showing Sam my screen.
That I'm glad that we have customization on the iPhone now so that everyone can have exactly what they want.
And my iPad is also similar.
Lovely.
Sexy, right?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's I'm glad you're happy.
It brings such clarity to my mind.
Pff,
I'm once again trying to figure out the best way to minimalize my tech consumption, streamline it. Forever on a mission.
and that's to make it even harder to figure out what all the icons are for.
I know what all the icons are.
Yeah.
And if I don't know what they are, it probably means I don't need it.
Interesting. It's an interesting thing that you've done, and I'm glad you're happy.
Thank you.
Do you know what? It is a very nothing design, actually. I will say that. It's like
I agree with the premise of nothing.
Yeah.
That's why I liked it so much.
Yeah. One other thing that I have spotted. Have you seen this new Marshall speaker?
No.
The Kilburn.
I'm so
Kilburn
completely
3.
out of the speaker world.
So I really like this. I mean,
It's sexy.
many moons ago, I used to work in the
Guitar shop.
guitar industry. So I know Marshall quite well.
Yeah.
And I've never really been a fan of their speakers because they always felt a little bit, how do I put this? It always felt a little bit more like a cash grab when you saw their like heavy duty, big.
Wait, sound-wise or...
Well, no, that was my, and I'm fully willing to admit that was me being a snob more than anything else. because they do sound pretty killer from what I've seen. This one, so let me read you this.
I'm gonna be so frank. I don't see anything different.
No, I don't think there's much different.
It's got a little joystick on the top.
What I'm interested in is that there is word of a huge battery upgrade. It says IP54 rated, good, like that. Obviously, it's Marshall styling, so it looks killer. And
it looks the same as any other Marshall speaker.
Yeah, it's one of the most timeless designs ever.
Yeah.
They've looked that way since the 1960s, and they will look that way until the 2060s, I imagine.
100%.
Stereo arrangement, it claimed it has no blind spot with 360-degree sound. That is really interesting. Because almost every speaker does have a bit of a blank. So,
yeah. How does it
intrigued to see how that works.
How does it do that? That doesn't seem physically possible.
Well, they are. I mean, they are experts in the world of speakers.
This is true. I am not an expert. My brain breaks easily.
Over 50 hours of playtime.
Jesus.
50 hours. That is more than a weekend.
Yeah.
Bonkers. I love that.
That is really...
that's a killer. It also says that it will allow you to charge your phone off it when that needs a boost.
Okay.
I think that in itself is quite a winner.
Yeah, that's
because
exciting.
50 hours, I mean, even if you went away for the weekend, you're probably not going to use it all the time.
No. Certainly not
so that's,
50 hours.
There's probably a good week of use in that for most people. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because this is such a tangent, but go with me.
Oh, God.
You know Slate Auto? You saw this? The car company that was backed by Bezos and basically making like 20 grand pickup trucks that are sized for real roads, not American ones.
I'm not offended.
Okay.
That's absolutely true.
They had one of the coolest car features I've ever seen, which is an option where they basically just have a little mount like that and it holds your Bluetooth speaker. And it said, why bother paying extra for speakers in your car when you already own a speaker? Bring the speaker, put it in your car, and play your music and your maps and all that through that, and you don't have to pay the extra for speakers to help them keep the cost down. Brilliant.
If you're a broke bitch, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, do you know what? We need more things like this in the car industry because it is absolutely ludicrous what money some modern cars go for. Like,
no, I mean,
yeah, it is.
No, it is ludicrous in like such a good way.
But that shouldn't be the entry point. Do you know what I mean?
No.
You look at like
I suppose not.
There's like BMs and Mercedes and stuff that are 6-figure starting prices.
But is this car cheaper for
bonkers.
the fact that it does not have a sound system?
I'm assuming so, yeah.
Okay, I hope it is, and not just increasing the overhead for them.
No. This car's like 20 grand. Brand new. It's like. But what I was going to say, we're going on a slight tangent with the car side of things here. Something like this with a really long battery life will be perfect if that becomes commonplace.
Yeah.
Which
I don't think it will.
I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
Really?
Well,
I'd be so sick to have to take my speaker out of my car just to charge it.
You'd just buy one and leave it in there, wouldn't you?
I suppose.
I'd just buy like a 20 quid Anchor speaker and chuck it in there and leave it.
Well, no, I do want my car listening experience to be good.
It is good. I bought one of those. I bought my dad one on last Black Friday. They sound really killer.
Oh, yeah, okay. The light is slowly dying in your eyes as I say that, but
I mean, they're not. Anyway, we're totally straying from the point. What I was going to say was a speaker like this with a 50-hour battery life in a scenario like that will be ever so valuable because you'll be able to keep going forever.
Yeah. Although I don't think if you're buying one of those cars, you would be going for a Marshall speaker. I think you're more on track with buying an Anchor speaker.
Sure, but I don't know. If you're dropping 20 grand on a new car, 300 quid on a speaker is probably not going to faze you, is it?
No.
What the just came out of you?
No. That's That's not at all how my brain would work in that scenario. I'd say, thank God that car is only 20 grand because I really can't spend much else. And then I'd buy a cheap speaker.
I mean, I don't know. I think we've levied on a slightly weird point
We have.
here.
We have.
But
I'm also slightly biased because I think Bezos is a bad man.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
automatically think his intentions here are self-serving
what I will
and not
say,
truly.
it's the car brand itself seems fantastic. I really am excited by it. I hope they come to Europe. I hope it's as good as it sounds. And I'm intrigued by a lot of things they do. I think the car industry needs it because at the minute it is it's not a good place.
Really?
I think at the current modern car industry is so insanely jacked up on prices that it's not sustainable for average people, and that becomes a real problem because people need to get around.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough. That is a whole different discussion.
whole
isn't
different
it?
thing. While we're actually on the subject of cars, sorry, I wasn't going to bring it up, but
No.
did you see as part of the Xiaomi release we were talking about earlier?
They released a new
you've
car,
seen
didn't
the
they?
YU7?
I've not seen
Oh my God! Let
anything
me
about it.
get you. Where was I?
Wait. Is this the one that they... Oh, yes. No, I know this car. I thought there was a new one.
YU7. Oh.
I know this hasn't been on sale, but they did very much... It was present at MWC?
What, the SUV one?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But over 500-mile range
Yeah.
on the standard one. That's loopy good.
Insanity, isn't it?
And right.
It also has like if this is the one I'm thinking of, it has a 0 to 60 of like under 2 seconds.
Right. Yeah, that sounds
Which
about
is
right.
fucking crazy.
Yeah. For an electric.
Well, for this price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 to 80% charge in just 12 minutes, and a 15-minute charge will put 620 kilometers of range. That is the really interesting bit because that's where we need to be.
Yeah.
We need electric cars that have 500-mile plus ranges and can get you... I mean, 12 minutes is... By the time you've plugged in, gone inside, had a wee, bought a sausage roll, eaten the sausage roll, back in your car, you've
Ready to go.
you've got 800 kilometers of range again, and that is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
That, I think, is a really, really exciting moment for the world of electric cars.
It's really cool. Yeah, and I think that is probably what's eventually going to drive down and kind of curb what you were just talking about with the prices skyrocketing. I think the car industry is in danger from the Chinese auto industry at the moment.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. But I also think, yeah, that's what those car brands like Slate are trying to counteract.
Sure.
So they're thinking, oh, well, everyone hates China for some weird reason. So wrongly so often. But we'll just go snatch up those people who want that.
No, I see your point. And I think the Slate offering is an interesting one in its own right. But the whole car industry, I think, is going to undergo a massive shift in the next 5 to 10 years because of exactly what we've been talking about, basically. Yeah. You've got legacy brands who have either just not caught up whatsoever. I really fear for some of these iconic brands who are just like, they just don't seem to have anything ready for this changeover. Or they're making cars which are lovely but stupendously expensive. I believe in part to counteract the fact that these cars are going to last longer than
hopefully, yeah,
than mechanical cars, which is at least the prevailing theory overall. Then you get to like the Tesla level. Less said about that, the better.
Yeah.
And then under that, Tesla's what, 50 grand-ish, right? 40, 50 grand, something like that in the UK.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I can't afford to spend 40 grand on a car. So then, and I've said this for years and years, even before we were talking about electric cars, There is money to be made in a brand that just offers a simple car. Then Dacia came along and did that, but even they've pretty much doubled in price. Remember when the Sandero first launched, it was like $6,000 brand new on the road. And that they're now, I think you pay sort of minimum 15, which is bonkers, really. But that idea in the EV world, there's a lot to be said for it. I think that the market there is going to become a bigger mix than it was before. Also, brands like BYD, right? We see them doing stuff like this. It's just an interesting way to go, and it's something I think we need to be talking about because it's going to concern everyone over the next sort of decade.
It's all very interesting, and there's a lot of conversation to be had around it. 100%. We just need to have like a car episode.
Oh my god, let's do that. That'd be so much
I'd
fun.
like to do that. Let's do it.
All right.
One last thing.
Okay.
Tesla apparently has a new feature.
Yes. Okay.
We were talking about this before, and I just feel like we really need to share this with you guys because it's kind of hysterical and sad.
Well, hang on. There's two parts. Let's do the less. What am I trying to say? The first part is that there's a new feature on the Tesla app for iPhone where it now your charging status appears in live activities. It will only work on Tesla superchargers, so you don't get it from home or from any non-approved thing. But it tells you how much is charged in this time, how much is left until it's fully charged, rough idea of how much it costs, that sort of thing. Quite cool, very handy for iPhone users. Absolutely not the headline, though, because the headline is the new... Hang on, I'm going to make sure I word this absolutely perfectly. Tesla has started rolling out a software update with a new feature called Child Left Alone Detection, which will flash the vehicle's lights, play an alert tone, and send a notification to your Tesla app if an unattended child is detected.
If you're that forgetful, maybe you aren't cut out to be a parent. Well, I don't know. That's maybe controversial.
Look,
but
the point I've been making all morning, how many times did this have to happen before someone at Tesla sat there and went, we need to make a feature to stop people from leaving their kids in the car?
Oh, those warm kids are really getting some bad PR for us. So we gotta do something to counteract it.
Good group. Like,
I hope this is a case of them creating something to solve a problem that doesn't exist, but I do
not believe that's the case whatsoever. But got my keys, got my phone, got my wallet. I've left Dylan in the car.
My offspring.
This is unbelievable. I can't even speak. I don't have the words to express how crazy the notion that this is necessary is.
Yeah.
But hey, if you are forgetful, buy a Tesla, I guess.
It's one of those things where you're like, it's great that this exists. It's sad that it has to.
Yeah.
I think that is the summary.
Also, sorry, imagine if you leave a child in the car and then your car just starts flashing the headlights and beeping the horn. Going, you've left your kid in the car. It's like,
shame.
Yeah, what shame, honestly.
I mean, as you should feel. Maybe it's one of those things you make a mistake once and you're done. You're not going to do it again. I do think there's some good horror movie potential, though, and that, you get the alert on your phone. There's a child in your car. I don't have a child.
Final Tesla Nation.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Right, anyway, that's about everything for this week. So thank you for joining us. Be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Let us know what you think.
Subscribe.
Oh, and subscribe.
Please.
Okay, yeah. Do a bit of that too.
Really helpful. No, is that too desperate? Maybe.
We're desperate.
No, we're not. We're not desperate. We're kicking it. It's all good.
Okay. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.